kì í ṣe Yorùbá a léwọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ tiwa. So it's going to take Hello, please can we stop? Can we actually um, stop so that we can take on the presentation? I'll have to. Okay. Yes. So what's your name, sir?
Simeon.
Simeon.
Yes.
Simeon what?
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Group 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. Who is presenting? Okay.
This light is not affecting the screen, so let's have it. Not send it to the camera.
Okay, so you want this light? All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Is your space off? Yes. Do you want me to introduce you?
No, I don't.
All the way from. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. All the way from Group 2, I welcome Mr. Simeon to take up the presentation. Thank you, Simeon.
Please clap for me now. At least, I came from a very distant group too. So thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much. So this is what we did at the group 2 level. We from the 19 variables we have. You remember yesterday during the his presentation, he gave us 15 parameter. Problem is inadequate climate adaptation in agricultural planning, which includes deforestation and unsustainable charcoal practices, limited availability and utilization of climate smart seed and biofortified crops. However, in our discussion, we collapse it to inadequate climate adaptation in agricultural planning because it's broad enough to house all other breakdown that we have under this. So it's subject to the house input, but this is what we are proposing that we should take instead of us having this breakdown. With that, with this proposed topic, it still can accommodate all other things we want to do under it. So then the root cause, we say lack of climate resilient policies, weak extension services, and poor access to climate smart inputs. Then specific effects to citizens, we say low agricultural yield, food insecurity. You have moved beyond my. Okay. You are still not where I am. Okay. Food insecurity and increased rural poverty, the rising disease prevalence. And this is as a result of this problem we identify. Then who are those benefiting or who are those losing? So on the losing side, we discover that these small farm holders are the major one hit harder. Then we look at rural communities are also affected mostly. Then they are vulnerable to droughts and pests. So it's more, the impact is more felt at the rural area than the cities or urban areas where alternatives to farming businesses are existing. Then solutions that we profile is for us to develop and enforce climate smart agricultural policies, distribute climate resilient seeds, and train farmers on how to effectively grow those crops. Then we also advocate, we ask for partnership with key and specialized organizations like ABU, who are into research into this issue, crop and food and crop institutes. We are also requesting that there should be a strong partnership within all these institutions for us to get this seedling across board for farmers to be able to plant them. Then we also propose that there should be a recruitment of extension service providers across the entire state. Then we talk about coalition. We also ask that coalition should promote okay, sorry. Okay, so we also say that coalition should run community-based awareness campaign. Sometimes community don't know, and when they even know, the knowledge is not as wide as possible. So we ask for such. Can you just move? I think there's something. No, 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 this side. Still go. So part of the variables we identify in the parameter for selection is in the 15 he gave us is that it should align with global practices and the state's priorities. So we look at it in line of SDG 4 and 13. Then we look at in the sustain agenda is social development. Then let's move to the next item, number 2 now. No, number 2, you are going this way now. Okay, so this is third one. All right, so the second one we now consider that we rated second on our priority list is inadequate utilization of education data for improved service delivery and climate literacy. And what are the root cause or causal factors? We say fragmented data collection system, insufficient data infrastructure, poor data utilization culture, then lack of climate education policies. So these are the key causal factors that we identify within the education sector as it relates to data and climate literacy. Then who are those that are affected, or how does this specifically affect citizens? We say poor learning outcome, inadequate resource allocation, because it's not data driven, you just do it indiscriminately and with discretion. Then weak data driven education policy and low climate awareness among students. So we discovered that people are not, as we graduate from school, some of these things became new knowledge, and we are unable to manage it because we were not trained while back in schools. So then who is benefiting or who is losing? We just identify losers here, mostly our students, because by the time we are graduating, our knowledge is already outdated. Then we say mostly girls and persons with disability. If you look at in the rural areas where issue of climate is really ravaging, you see that women are the ones, or girls and people with disability are affected. Then in terms of facilities in our school, one of the things we identify is that some schools you even see more toilets than the classrooms, and it's because there's poor resource allocation. If it has been data driven, you'll have known the number of pupils in the school, how many toilets should you put there. We heard that there's a school with even 20 boreholes. What for? So all of this inform what we came up with. Then move on. Then what solution are we profiling? Now is that government should build an integrated education management information system, mainstream climate education into the education curriculum, regular audits and assessment of data utilization in program implementation. Then government should build a more robust and inclusive data infrastructure in education sector. Then continuous tracking of education development by coalition for effective planning. So we're asking that since we are talking about whole society approach, all hands must be on deck in ensuring that this is effectively implemented. So which SDG is it linked to? SDG 4 and 13. Then in the sustain agenda again, we see that it's also speaking to social development. Let's move to the third one. Okay, so the third one is weak enforcement of open contracting standards, OCDS and OC for IDS. Now here, what are the root causes that we spotlighted? Is lack of political will and interest in promoting open contracting. So we saw that there are a lot of efforts, however, there are still a lot of gaps in that regard. So we also see weak procurement monitoring system is there, but it's not as expected. Sometimes you want to get data is scanty on some of our websites. We say poor enforcement culture is something we also identified. Then inadequate data availability and access to data quality. So it's affecting it's one of the factors that is breeding this weak enforcement of open contracting data system standards. Then what's the effect? We saw corruption and inefficiency in government contracts sometimes lead to loss of lives, where you see building collapsing on people, procuring of fake drugs and what have you, and you are administering it as a proper drugs. So move to the other one. So who is benefiting or losing from here? We say contractors are benefiting because there's no proper scrutiny. They can just give substandard things and provide it as a standard um, procurement. Then we notice citizens are also losing in terms of value for money. What's it called? The tax that citizens are paying is not given the expected result. If you collect 10 million naira and you provide something of 5 million naira, the difference is still the impact is coming back to the citizens. Then we also it leads to loss of life and endanger lives when we have poor procurement process. Move on. Then what is the solution we are providing here? We ask for automated procurement data publication, where as you are live, you can live stream it depending on how we develop. So it's something that once you are doing it, it's live. We can always see it at every point in our community. We can see as we are making progress and we are procuring different items across the states. Then we also talk about strengthening or mandating procurement data publication on the necessary public domain and websites. So we want to see the enforcement from above down, from top to bottom, that is a norm that we can always access it in all our public domains. Then there should be penalty for defaulting. So any MD that is not releasing its data, we want to see a specific penalty attached to it, that if you fail to do this, you will not collect the next budget for your procurement, or you will not be able to achieve this and that and that. Possibly they are not going to pay some of the salaries that's necessary for that MDs. All right, so we also, as coalition, we are asking that there should be a deepened advocacy on demonstration of domestication of FOI. That there should be liberty to large extent whereby citizens can also reach out to the MDA to ask for information about this development. So we notice that this variable is linked to SDG 16 and is also linked to the sustain agenda under U, urban development and reform. Let's move to the next one. Then the fourth on our list is now poor waste management and urban flooding. So based on those parameters again, this got a credit to stay on our number 4. And what are the root cause for this is inadequate waste disposal infrastructure. So people just anywhere, you just throw your thing. And in the event, even when you try to pay those who are Masubola, they collect your money and move to the next drainage site and they pour it there. Then the second one is it blocks all our drainage system because of the way we trash our debts. The erosion will just move those things to the nearest gutter and block it out. Then weak urban planning. So we discovered that it's not as if it's not there. Kasuda is there, but in terms of enforcement, um, effective enforcement, we have not seen it as expected, even though there is a lot of demolition, but we're still hoping that more productive systems should be put in place. Then specific effect to citizen, health hazard, loss of property, displacement during floods, loss of means of livelihood, and disease outbreak. Sorry, move on. Yeah, the next one. So who benefits from this, go? Yeah, who benefit from this or who is losing? Urban poor and informal settlements lose most due to lack of drainages and housing security. So because you see when you get to the urban, what's it called, poor settlements, you see this congested area that is the drainage is not properly done, and the moment there is heavy downpour, you see this flooded. Then we also see government loses in IGR and through provision of palliatives during flooding. So government had to begin to spend, you have to give, we are unable to generate the necessary IGR because there's weak enforcement. Again, when the flood happens, there's going to be government, they call on government to intervene. Then the little we have, we still have to spend it on people because of this. So solution, we ask for introducing of recycling programs, improve drainages, and the coalition should promote community-driven waste management and waste disposal. Then we also ask that community should lead an awareness campaign on proper waste disposal and to prevent floods. Then the coalition should also promote the establishment of community-driven sanitation committee. So back then, I know we used to have this sanitation system that we have, but we want a community to take ownership of this to ensure that with or without government enforcement, let's take responsibility because of the danger of this problem. So we saw that it's linked to SDG 6, 11, and 12, and to sustain agenda, we saw territorial and infrastructure planning. So let's move to the next one. So the number 5th on our list is now limited commitment to open government partnership, OGP implementation through high-level engagements. Now, root cause, inadequate understanding or buying in at all levels of government is one of the reasons why we are seeing the effect we're noticing in the operationalization of OGP in Kaduna State. We also identify lack of dedicated funds from the government's body to OGP. Then we notice low political will to sustain the OGP initiative and prioritization. Yeah, we have seen it, but the vibe with which it started is not the same thing that we are seeing today. So we are seeing this as one of the fallout for this limited commitment to this OGP. Then insufficient citizen engagement and demands. We are doing, but we're not done enough. So then the last one is inadequate monitoring and evaluation. So what we have seen so far, how have we been able to track the progress of this consistently? See the trend of how OGP is transforming the state. Then that will help. Number one is that low public trust and weak citizen engagement in governance processes. So because of this effect, citizens are beginning to draw back. Let's just tick the box and move on. So the next one is reduce access to information, limited opportunity for participation, decreased government responsiveness, then poor quality of public services. So expectation as it used to be has reduced. Then who is benefiting or who is losing? So we focus on losing now. Citizens of Kaduna State are the one losing from the expected benefit that we should get from OGP. Then civil society organization again are also losing because all efforts that were put in place with high expectation, the time and energy we put into it has resulted into loss if we cannot see corresponding result to our commitment and push and ask towards government partner to ensure that there is a collective, collaborative and co-creative processes. Then Kaduna State also is losing at the long run because the image that we started with is quietly fizzling out, and some of the benefits that we have been able to attract at the global space, we are also quietly missing out from them. The solution we are providing as a platform, as a group is coalition should launch an OGP advocacy and awareness campaign or drives. We should strengthen political, there should be a strengthened political will and high-level engagement. So we also ask for enhancing understanding and buy-in across government levels through capacity buildings. So I know at some point when we visit some MDs, they're just wondering what OGP is all about. So I think we should do more in creating awareness and advocating for this. We also talk about fostering citizen engagement and demand through accessible platform. And last but not least, strengthening monitoring and evaluation with clear and measurable indicators. Where is this linked to? Within SDG, we see SDG 3, and in sustain agenda, we see inclusive governance. Let's move on. So number 6, the 6th on our ranking is persistent inefficiency and leakages in IGR system, and particularly at the local government level. So we discovered that in terms of root cause of this, the larger percentage of economically active persons operate within informal sector. And so as a result of this, the system give room for manual system because you still transact in cash. And so we engage some of our agents to collect on behalf of government, and all of this put together at the local government level. Yes, we have seen some significant improvement at the state level, but at the local level, that's where we're having the issues. Even the IGR at the local government level is still very small. So we discovered that because of informality of the larger chunk of people, economically active persons. Secondly, because of the manual tax collection processes, even though we say cash collection is prohibited, we still see those things happening within our local communities. Then corruption and weak accountability system. We still see these persons that will go there, collect the money, instead of you paying 20,000 naira, just giving 5,000 naira, and so it's still happening, and it's one of the reasons why we are having this inefficiency in the system. Then lack of data-driven revenue strategies. So I think one of our engagement, we discovered that some persons, when they distribute the demand notices, there's nobody to follow up to collect the money. And somebody confessed in the last 7 years, I've been receiving demand notices, but I've not paid for once. So it means that there's no follow-up. So we don't even know how many persons are economically active that can pay and are not paying. So all of these are still there. So lack of enforcement and follow-up with demand notices, as I mentioned earlier on. So specific effects on citizen, revenue shortfall is affecting public service delivery and infrastructural projects. Again, it also leads to reasons why we go for loans when we don't have IGR internally. So then who benefit from this? Government loses potential revenue, corrupt collectors and middlemen benefits. The agent that goes on behalf of government, because there's not enough manpower, you see that they do under the table activities. So women and children are negatively affected because of the shortfall or short supply of service delivery in health and education. So these are some of the things we highlighted. Then solution we provide is to digitize tax system. We know it is there and they have improved than what it used to be, but up to now the system is still not as robust as it ought to be. We want a system that can even accommodate the informal sector, that wherever you are operating, as long as your money passes through bank as much as possible, we can easily track you and know how much is due to government. Now we should set up revenue tracking dashboard to enforce audit mechanism. so that when you pay what you are due to pay, you don't overpay, neither do you are short paying what is supposed to be paid to government. Then we ask that the coalition should organize a community-driven sensitization and awareness campaign to ensure that IGR is paid to the appropriate sources. This is ongoing, but we still want more commitment to it. Then we also ask that the government should um, return to way bridge approach to increase IGR. Now, most of the roads in Kaduna in recent time, we discovered that the major bypass was fought at the point that they had to begin to pass through the main town road. And this is Kaduna State's roads that are not supposed to be, allowed that these major trucks that are just passing by. So they have to ply that road because the other one is fault. So they deplete our road. We have to pull out another IGR to fix the road or reconstruct the road. So it's costing the government seriously. So we are saying when we return back to that one, those who are carrying excess luggage will have to pay both for toll and for the excess load they are carrying. They will be fined. So that will increase our IGR. And then we say that the government should, the coalition should organize a tax for service campaign across all levels. When people see their money working for them, the voluntary sense of complying is activated. Then which of the SDGs is this linked to? SDG 17. And to sustain agenda, we saw new public sector efficiency. Let's move on. So number 7, absence of structured succession planning in local governments. Okay, this we didn't remember to put the original name. We took this a little so that it can speak to what we were talking about. So we say absence of structured succession planning in LGAs, critical role risk being left vacant upon retirement or exit of current high-profile staff. So what is the root cause of this? One, we saw that there was no recruitment at the LGA in the last 5 years or so. So we see that this creates a gap that if those high-level officials are resigning or are retiring, there will be problem catching up by the low cadre staff because of the gap among the recruitment, for the recruitment process. Then we saw that low talent pipeline or career progression plans. We also see that is not clearly spelled out. Then lack of strategic HR forecasting to be able to manage those gaps, or possibly it's there, but the government didn't really follow through. Then politicized appointment over merit. Then no replacement for exiting experienced staff. So these are some of the things we saw as a causal factor. Specific effect to citizen. Now, we say service delivery collapse when experienced officer exits the system. Poor record keeping and knowledge transfer. Decline in confidence in local governments. So, for example, in our health facilities, we learned that in some of our facilities, we don't even have enough health workers that are well experienced. So we just have to co-op those ones who have a little knowledge to do some things. So that led to a lot of challenge in that space. Now, who is benefiting or who is losing? Loser, citizens. Especially at the rural level, that's the LGA level. Then who is benefiting? The politicians who are acting, political actors who benefit from ad hoc, patronage-based appointments. So they just do this, their thing as usual. Then what can be done? So we ask that we conduct local government workforce audits, develop a local government specific human resource plan, institutionalize mentorship and internal promotions, launch a targeted early entry recruitment and internship programs, partner with local government service commission, CSC, and Ministry for Local Government. I think that one is CSO. Then coalition should organize a workshop to promote mentorship and training. Coalition should include retirement retired senior officers into the system. That we're trying to say here is that what we're trying to say here is that coalition should absorb all these retired officers into the system, such that we now recruit them just like we have what we have in SBMC and other education system, whereby they can go back to our government sector to monitor and track the system in order to improve it and give report to the coalition for advocacy and move it a little up. Yeah, for advocacy. Okay, I think it has gone to the next one. Okay, just leave it as explaining. So we look at where it's linked to. SDG 16, that's strong institution. SDG 8, decent work. Then sustain agenda, inclusive governance. So let's move. Number 8 now, inadequate legislative oversight in budget, execution, and accountability. So one of the things we discover here is that weak legislative capacity and knowledge of legislative functions, low political will to perform oversight function, ineffective legislative citizen engagement, weak implementation of legislative guidelines. So who are those one affected? We say it reduced transparency and accountability in public resource utilization that citizens will have benefited from. Move on. Sharp. This is this. Okay. This should be 8 bar. We give you Jarani. Okay, so solution. We ask that there should be training for lawmakers on budget tracking. They should publish quarterly budget reports of their tracking or oversight function. Then enhance legislative research units. There should be a unit where all of these things can come to the fore, and they will do it as a culture. Then where is it linked to SDG 3 and a sustain agenda I? So move on. So this is the last but not the least. So inadequate livestock development infrastructure, lack of livestock policy, lack of coordinated animal husbandry practices. Now, root cause, increase in emerging and re-emerging diseases, rapid population growth, limited government priority, disease in livestock productivity due to, decrease in livestock productivity due to excess heat, that's climate-related issues. Then specific effect on citizen is to reduce livestock productivity, limited access to veterinary services, risk of disease transmission from animal to humans and stuff like that. Let's move on. So that we don't. Who is benefiting and who is losing, or who is losing? Inadequate infrastructure that can lead to increase in. So the general thing here is that there's no protein eventually at the long run. So when in the event you have access to it, it might be the one that has been infected with one disease or the other. So what solution are we bringing here is to improve the adequacy and effectiveness of livestock, development of infrastructure, then improve the coordination of animal husbandry practices. So this is where we call it a day. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much to Group 2. So here's what we'll do. Can we take 10 minutes to provide feedback to Group 2? Then we go for lunch. Then we'll come back and continue the presentation. So can we take feedback to Group 2? Please. Sorry about it.
No problem, sir. Yeah, a very nice presentation, and kudos to the presenter. Let's go to problem number 4. Yeah, poor waste management, and so let's go to the solutions there. And if you look at the solutions, there are very beautiful solutions, and I felt we need to add up to something. Dredging. Dredging is highly very important when you want to solve some of those solutions into these issues. So dredging should be a part of it. And I think on issue number 5 again. Okay, on the OGP itself, I believe the point of contact is here. That's very good. Point of contact, let's go to the, there's a place they say lack of dedicated funding. But I think in the budget, something is there for us to harness. Exactly. So thank you very much. Launch.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, this is a good work, Group 2, and well done to the presenter. I've seen in different places where the group has been mentioning coalition. Please be specific about the coalition. Which coalition are you referring to? You get, so that anybody who is not here, that is reading the document somewhere, will understand the coalition you're referring to. Thank you.
Thank you. Asma, you've taken that down. More feedback. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much for handing me the mic. Well done, Simon, and the group for the work you've done. I see that you had extended your template to add SDGs. Please help me and shift it. Linked SDGs, sustained pillar. Since you've gone that route, one would have even suggested you quickly possibly put identified stakeholder and even budget, so that it could just, we are going there. It will just help us sync, because I'm trying to make a case for the SDGs, trying to link the SDGs. I do know that SDG also take into cognizance climate change, but for your group has a specific sector, right? You have sectors on your group, right? It's just a group 4. It's just group 4. It's on justice. Thematic areas. So it's the thematic areas I'm asking, because I remember vividly Victor had said in his presentation yesterday that this is a multi-sectorial platform, right? And we should see ourselves as a society. Even when there were questions about why the use of that nomenclature, he said because it's very big. So we should work as a society, have the societal perspective. So even when you are working in your thematic area, please put yourself as in that societal outlook and be able to look at it from that lens. So my assumption of what will be presented will be that this thematic area had looked at their major area of implementation and tried to address the issues based on that thematic area, bringing in some of those context of those questions in that thematic area, but looking at it again at a societal view. But I didn't see, I clearly didn't see that aspect, outlined. And I'll give you an example. For instance, for us, if I see any area that has to do with health in my group, I quickly draw the persons that I know that have that skill or that's their thematic area. Okay, how do we coin this to address health at the same time target climate-related issues to health? So that is the perception I had. But then, well done for your job. And I think Isa spoke about the coalition thing. Is it that you are suggesting, because from your presentation, me and Becca were like, are we establishing a coalition? Because in this group, we're like, this activity will be championed by NCSCE, even though we did not put it. For instance, I'm giving you an example. An activity that we know that was more climate centered, we already said NCSCE will take care of it. An activity we noticed that it was more health related, we were like, CADMAM will take a lead on this. And the one that we know that it was social protection centered, like CASPAC will take the lead on this. But we, of course, with the OGP core areas of these specific sectors. So that is the thinking in my head. So I don't know, I just said I should, I don't know if it's a comment, I think it's a comment.
Thank you very much. I think I'll still provide more feedback to that at the end of the day, right? So any more feedback? Our 10 minutes can be 15, 20 minutes. Sure. Okay. So any more feedback for group 2? Any more feedback for group 2? Okay, please go ahead. Please. We have some time.
Well done on your presentation. There's a place where you mentioned the impact on health and education. And since we're thinking on a societal view, me, I'm looking at you, if you had put social services, there is hindrance to social services, because where you are affected with health, education is not available. Definitely there are other social services that are lacking in those environments. So if you could capture social services as a challenge, where you talk about health impact, the environmental impact on health and education. So if it could be captured social services, because water is also a services that should be available, and where there is no water, sanitation is almost impossible.
Thank you. So this is the last feedback we're taking for group 2.
All right. So mine is also straightforward. Just looking at who is benefiting and losing, I think to some extent it's supposed to be like a power mapping component. So I think it's supposed to be more specific in terms of who are the people that are benefiting, so that when you're planning, you can actually bring out those people. For example, is it the vulnerable people in the society and all of that? I think it should be spelled out rather than lump them up, because this would not help you plan effectively when you say civil society organizations. What specific, there could be civil society organizations that are benefiting, and there could be also civil society organizations that are losing. So can we see who is benefiting and who is losing, so that it helps for better programming? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Goje. Thank you. Thank you very much to group 2. Please, can we still appreciate group 2?
Yeah, so, okay, just
this is my paper.
My paper. All right, so thank you very much for all the feedbacks. All right, I think the first one I've been well taking note of. Then with respect to coalition, we are also, because when he was presenting yesterday, he was talking about coalition. So we're not sure of, maybe there will be a coalition that will come out from here, or the existing coalition is what we're going to use. That's why we were just neutral at that time when we're putting this together. So if we agree that is the existing coalition we're referring to when he was presenting, so it's what we're also referring to. So we're going to retweak it to speak to specific coalitions. And if not, then if there's something that is going to come out from here, the responsibility will now be placed on this new one to do the needful. Then with respect to stakeholder, looking at it from the stakeholder lens, all right, so and talking to the SDG and what have you that Jessica just mentioned, I think principally is the parameter you listed out in your presentation yesterday, 15 of them, right? That's where we pick all of this from for our own analysis. Yes, we look at it from the perspective of justice, but because our knowledge is not so broad in that space, only one person is the one represented here, and it's not so. I don't know how I will explain that now because I also I'm very careful. Yeah, so so but we shall try to manage it. How these issues we identified of the 19, how it will speak in a holistic committee and ensure that justice is served. We're not speaking to it like a judge or a lawyer, right? But we're speaking to it, for example, in terms of text, for IGR, for example. What we want to see there is that you are not overpaying what you're supposed to pay, and you're not paying less than what you're supposed to pay. That's the angle that justice has come to serve in this place. Thank you. Then the last but not least.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much to Group 2. So what we will do now, please can I have your attention for a minute? We'll go for lunch and prayers. This is 2 o'clock by my time. We'll come back, sorry, this is 2:10 by my time. Can we come back 3:10 and take the rest presentation? Please, can I beg you, 3:10 for 3:10? Please, today is the last day. Just give me the next 2 hours, 30 minutes. 3:10 for 3:10, we will start. For those of us in Group 2, please, let's come back and support the other groups, right? So have a wonderful lunch. Thank you. Good afternoon.